Hello and welcome to Connect. I'm your host, Randy Shabilo. On today's show, we'll have the CEO for Federated Co-operatives Limited, Scott Banda, who talk a little bit about his upcoming retirement and a $3 billion investment in Saskatchewan. As well, the Superintendent for Criminal Investigations with the Saskatoon Police Service, Patrick Noger, who will talk about the new Drop Gangs initiative. And as always, we'd like to connect with you. Follow us on Facebook at ConnectYXE, catch past interviews on our YouTube channel, email us at connectyxe@gmail.com, or leave a message at 306 665 3796. Energy in Saskatchewan has been front and center for a little while now, and we have with us today the CEO for Federated Co-op Limited, Scott Banda. Scott, thanks for taking some time out of that busy schedule. I know we had asked you some time ago, and since then you've announced a little bit of a plan to withdraw into retirement, if you will, if I said it that way. Thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure.
I want to talk a little bit about your career here with FCL. 20 years with the company and 12 as the CEO, and you've announced your retirement coming up for May 6th. How do you reflect on that as the date is drawing closer for you?
Yeah, it's exciting. It's scary. It's challenging. It's all of the above. Time flies, and I've been here for 20 years and 12 as CEO. But when I look back, I just realize how fortunate I am. I'm a farm kid from Saskatchewan to be given the opportunity to lead one of the largest companies in the country and arguably the largest headquartered in Saskatchewan for the better part of my tenure. It's just that I've been so fortunate to come to an organization that has the span we do across Western Canada. And I've always been motivated by trying to make a difference and change our communities. And when I reflect back, I feel really good about the foundations we built here at Federated Co-op and the Co-op brand across the West, that we've become a purpose-driven organization that operates on values and that we've made a difference. So I think I'm really, really fortunate and proud of the difference that we've made, and feeling really good about where the organization is at. The strategies are set. We got a great team in place, and I will hand over the keys and move on to the next chapter.
Well, you mentioned the communities throughout Western Canada, and when we look at it geographically speaking, the co-ops are first and foremost, I guess, very present in Western Canada. How do you manage to evolve that brand and keep it relevant in today's times?
Well, that's a lot of hard work and a lot of really good people. In 2010, we set about to not reinvent co-op, but to reintroduce it to Western Canadians. We knew there was this real core of recognition with co-op and these values, that we were trusted, we were knowledgeable, we were seen as caring, but we hadn't really leveraged that. So we set out to reintroduce co-op and to be that purpose-driven organization in a community. And that was not easy to convince people to change, to convince, we have 160 some odd unique co-op associations from Thunder Bay right to the West Coast and as far north as you can go, and to have them come together under one brand and to align how we're going to position ourselves in the market, to align around our symbols and our identity and our values. It's a constant effort and a constant evolution. And by bringing people together and talking about the why are we doing this? And it's all about building sustainable communities together. The beauty of the co-op model is it's owned by local people. So all of our profits go right back into the communities from where they were generated. And we look at last year and what we allocated in our patronage, which is our earnings to local co-ops, was $353 million last year. That's almost $1 million a day we put back into Western Canada. And we've been doing that for decades. Our earnings do not go off to New York or shareholders in Europe or anywhere else. And so as a result of that local base, and we hear a lot of other organizations talking about how local they are, we are authentically local. Our ownership is here, our profits stay here, and we have several strategies, whether it's farm to fork, where we try to move local products through our facilities. And all of those efforts have made our brand relevant and have put us in a position to attract and retain people who share those values and who really want to, in an authentic way, make a difference in Western Canada. So there's no simple answer. It's a lot of hard work, but to be purpose driven and community focused, and over time, it makes a big difference.
I can say thank you personally for the dividends. I much appreciated. If we look at the past 2 years that everyone's been struggling in business and personal finance and things like that, how has the pandemic the past 2 years changed the co-op, the organization?
Yeah, the pandemic has changed us all, whether that's personally or in our business or in our relationships. And first and foremost for us was about the safety of our team members. And I think back to those mid days of March of 2020, where we had to take 800 people from downtown Saskatoon and get them home and get them set up to work remotely. Maybe I'm a little old school, but if anybody had told me that, 2 months before that, I would have said they were crazy. So that completely changed us on day one as to how do we keep our people safe and reestablish our work patterns. But that's from an office setting. When we look at our impact out in communities, we co-op, we're essential services in food, fuel, and pharmacy right out of the gate. So we had to maintain our services. And we figured it out. And so I think one of the lasting pieces for our business, and maybe for others, was just the creativity, the innovation that was unlocked within our people. And there were absolute heroic efforts in difficult circumstances. And I think that will forever change our organization in that respect. How we communicate changed substantially. We couldn't bring people together. We couldn't have the conferences. We couldn't run out the stores and visit. We had to find new ways to use technology, as you and I are here today. And again, I think a whole lot of people, including myself, did things they didn't even think were possible. The collaboration that occurred. So there's a new way of meeting and getting things done. And I think as we go forward, the hybrid model of some in office, some remote, I think will be much better for a lot of individuals, whether they have child care responsibilities, elder care, or other issues, that we can create better workspaces and workplaces going forward. So I think that's going to be a big change in the future. And I don't know what the future of work is going to look like, but I do know it's going to be different. And maybe the last point on where that pandemic really changed us, and we saw it in our people and in our communities, was what was really important. And that sense of community and camaraderie and frankly cooperation on how are we going to get through this and how are we going to solve our problems. And as an organization, I think it gave us a real opportunity to change, be better, be different, and really make a solid contribution to helping us through a very difficult time.
You've been very busy with your team and a flurry of announcements this last little while, which has certainly put FCL on the radar. So you've had things with the renewable diesel, canola crushing, carbon capture. Where does that put FCL in the bigger, I guess, scope of the economy and that carbon economy, if you will?
Yeah, we've been on a path here for some time, what we call our 2040 energy roadmap. And we've made a series of announcements here recently, but this really is a game changer for our organization, and I would submit for the Western Canadian economy. The energy sector is the largest business unit we have at Federated Co-op. We know a transition is required. We've made a commitment to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions by 40% by 2030 and net zero by 2050. And we've made a commitment to stay in the liquid fuels. And that is an important distinction from some of the other conversations that are taking place. And the reason we've made that is there's a whole lot of infrastructure that already exists in Western Canada and that we have a large part of, that we don't need to reinvent, but we can repurpose it. And that's from corporate bulk plants to our trucking fleets to all our fuel stations. So we've announced about $3 billion, yeah, with a B, billion dollars of investment on our energy roadmap. And so one of the pieces is we have immediate compliance requirements. So that's the carbon capture, use, and storage. We've got 3 projects on that, 2 at our refinery in Regina, 1 at our ethanol plant in Belle Plaine. That's north of $500 million right there. In addition, we have this infrastructure I talked about. So how do we use that as we transition through this change in our economy? And for us, that was our Husky acquisition. We're acquiring 181 different gas bars across Western Canada, expands our geography and some of our offerings. But what it's really about is ensuring we can use our infrastructure as we transition to that renewable phase. So that's a big commitment from us. And that was our largest acquisition in our history. We've been putting money aside for a few years here. And one of the other set-asides for us was we sold our crude oil business for just over $71 million to exit that business and contribute to the next phase. So that takes us to the renewable piece. We have the ethanol plant already set up at Belle Plaine, and ethanol you blend in to gasoline. So that's our gasoline compliance pathway there. The big piece is diesel, and we have a large diesel market because of agriculture and transportation in Western Canada. So what do you do with that? And so our most recent announcement was our largest capital expenditure in our history for almost $2 billion is an integrated ag complex north of Regina. 2 components to that. The first component is a renewable diesel plant, which is about $1.5 billion. And that's to build a renewable diesel fuel that's 100% drop-in for diesel. This isn't blending. We can completely replace fossil fuel diesel with what we're going to produce out of our renewable diesel plant. One of the main inputs to make that is canola oil. And that's where the rest of the money is committed, is to make and build a canola crush plant north of Regina as part of a joint venture with AGT Foods. And what makes this really unique is there's a debate, is it food for fuel or fuel for food? This is both, because we will unleash, if you will, a seed to tank strategy where local producers, co-op members will buy their fuel from co-op, fertilizer, seed, crop protection, grow the crop, we'll contract with them, work with AGT to collect the grain. They have a railway system and trucks. We'll move that to Regina, we'll crush it. There will be a meal byproduct. And this is the really unique piece, is AGT will take that and work it into not only animal feeds, but human proteins. And that's a really exciting opportunity and makes this project very different. On the other side, the canola oil that comes out will be moved over to our renewable diesel plant to be turned into diesel, taken back to those producers, and we start the cycle over. And that's why I said at the outset, this is a game changer, because we'll have a complete renewable loop owned by Western Canadians, and we will change the fuel market in Western Canada. So we're very, very excited that it'll take us, several years here to build this out, but it's really exciting, and it will be a game changer for our organization, and I think for the West.
Obviously, you're very proud of your organization and the work you've done. Is there anything that is in the future for Scott Banda?
Well, I'm going to rest. Leadership of a large organization, I got to tell you, is tough. It's relentless. I'm tired of preparing every night and being on all the time. And so for me personally, I'm really looking forward to just bringing it down, taking some time. And as I say, the 3 F's are going to get some attention, which is my family, my friends, and fun. I hope to have some fun. Not every day here, I can tell you, is fun. And having that opportunity to reconnect and be part of the community again without all these responsibilities is something I'm really, really excited about.
Scott, I want to thank you for your years of service and wish you all the best in your retirement. Thanks for taking this time with us today.
Thank you, Randy. Really appreciate the opportunity.
Stay with us, folks. We're coming right back.